Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of AI X Gamers. It's September 23rd and today we're diving into the latest tech and AI news shaking up the gaming world, from classic board games going blockchain to AI coaching your video gameplay, to consoles with features that feel like they came straight out of sci-fi. Stick around, because by the end we'll pull all these threads together and talk about what this actually means for creators like you and gamers like us. First up, let's talk about the weird, wonderful, slightly terrifying world of blockchain board games. You know, like Monopoly, the game where families turn into competitive sociopaths over tiny little pieces of paper money. Now it's digital, on the blockchain specifically. So that means property trading, dice rolling, and even some gambling style mechanics are all wrapped up into the crypto interface. Why does this matter? So because creators and gamers now have a hybrid playground, familiar rules but with new tech under the hood. For designers, this is both an opportunity and a headache. You can keep your old school game mechanics, but now every decision is tracked, tokenized, and sometimes even monetized. So gamers get more ways to play, but also more ways to lose, real or virtual. Some people love the nostalgia, which is fine, but others worry that all these blockchain adaptations are going to push classic games into gambling adjacent spaces, especially for younger players. It's a balance between innovation and exploitation. So it's kind of an interesting topic. If you heard about the app Whatnot, Pokemon sports cards, Magic the Gathering, all those things have sort of gone to a sort of gambling perspective in the card ripping tournaments, where you pay and they open up the packs for you live. You know, you pay more for the chance at getting better cards. So, you know, it's fun, but again, it's getting something closer to a kid's game into gambling. So that's the question. And what do you guys think about that perspective? How do you guys feel about the blockchain games? Is crypto completely off your map? Leave me a comment, let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys think. So next, Razer, not the old phone, another company that's bringing AI to game development in a way that's actually kind of wild. So they have two new tools. It's called the Razer Game Assistant, and they also have the Razer QA Companion, and they're both hitting the Amazon Cloud Services platform. So the Game Assistant is going to act like a coach while you're actually playing your video game. So it's going to watch your moves live. It might suggest better strategies, point out mistakes. It's kind of like having a backseat driver that never really complains, but sometimes some people might find a little bossy, annoying. The second tool is even more interesting, the QA Companion. So that's the one that the developers might actually be drooling over. So the QA stands for Quality Assurance, and it's the process of finding bugs before a game ships. So usually that's going to eat up 20 to 30% of your development time. And this AI is going to spot those performance issues automatically, and it's going to help potentially free up the developers to focus on more creative tasks. But the flip side, of course, is that some human testers might find themselves out of a job. So what's the takeaway? It's kind of a double-edged sword, like everything in AI so far. You're going to have faster development cycles, fewer bugs, and maybe even lower costs on your end. But you're also going to have the potential for disrupting existing jobs in the industry. So I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Is this a godsend for developers, or a hint of things to come where EA is going to eat the QA lunch? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think the most interesting development is going to be on the basically Copilot guys on the video games, because people are going to start thinking it's an unfair assistant. There might be levels and categories of people who do or don't use that assistance. So that'll be interesting to watch. Now, blockchain games again, going mainstream. So we're moving on. Blockchain games are no longer a niche playground. So we talked about Monopoly. We can talk about the larger scope of it. It's not just a niche playground for crypto nerds anymore. So millions of players are now diving into games like Axie Infinity, Gods Unchained, and Illuvium. So the trend is becoming a little clearer. Blockchain isn't just really an experiment anymore. It's kind of pushing a little bit more into the mainstream gaming space. So developers are now facing a challenge. Do you make games that appeal beyond early adopters? That means better UX, more polished design, and less, here's some tokens, figure it out kind of chaos. But for creators, it's a chance to innovate in the digital economies. But also remember that these platforms are still experimental and can shift under your feet. So it might be tough to develop heavy into these places, if the outcome of it might not be what you're expecting, and we don't know yet. It's a big problem in AI as well. You can't dive fully into some of these creator processes because we don't even know the legal implications yet. Excuse me. A lot of these things are still being fought out in court. So some people are thrilled about earning crypto while they're playing, and then others are going to worry about the blurring again between games and gambling. And while millions are joining in, there's still that learning curve and accessibility issue to navigate. Some people don't even know where to begin with an NFT game, where to sign up, where to get crypto, any of that. So obviously there's a risk reward, but it's the same with anything in these tech fields. So are blockchain games a new frontier for digital creators, or is it more like a high-stakes gambling thing? Where are your guys' feelings on NFTs and crypto? Obviously, the original NFT boom put a lot of bad tastes in people's mouths, but there are some interesting things that are pushing in. So I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. Now, Microsoft is coming out with a gaming Copilot, similar to what we just discussed earlier. But it's coming directly from Microsoft, so it's going to be a little bit more in your face. So they're trying to add AI gameplay with their gaming Copilot. So essentially, it's a real-time assistant that's going to help you as you play, like we spoke about with the other Razer one. So you're going to think Clippy meets Skyrim. The early reactions, however, have been pretty poor. People aren't exactly lining up to use it. It sort of feels a little bit half-baked right now, a bit like those features you're told will change everything, but have been mostly ignored and not used fully. So the actual Copilot in Microsoft has not been received well either. So this outgrowth is similarly, I think, feeling that. So it just seems like one of those things where they're trying to put something out a little bit rough. Players aren't enamored, but it is the first iteration. Better versions will likely come. Copilot's been rough for a while, so we don't know. And eventually AI assistants might be standard in games again. I think it might kind of hit a thing where pure gamers, who are, feel like they can do it on their own without an AI talking to them, are going to feel superior to ones using it. And there may even become tiered play, where you may or may not be able to use those things. You have to say that you're using it, and I think it'll just be a meme factory, really, at the end of the day. So I'd like to see what you guys think. So you guys welcome an AI Copilot? Does it sound ridiculous? Another gimmick? Are you using it yet? Are you going to use it? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate it. All right, another interesting one here in our gaming culture is Tomb Raider and our beloved Lara Croft and her triangles. She is at the center of a lawsuit because of some patching disputes between Asper and the IP holders of Tomb Raider. Beyond the legal drama, the story is going to highlight how creators navigate big intellectual properties in a world with AI. So cultural resonance matters. And Lara Croft isn't just code and pixels. She's a bit of an icon now, movies, all this other stuff. And so big studios are cautious with AI use. They're worried about brand dilution, mistakes, the cultural pushback, which we've seen. Meanwhile, indie developers might have a little bit more leeway because, grace to experiment with AI without crushing legal oversight. People judging you, thinking to themselves, you have the money, why not use it? These creators don't necessarily have the money, and they're kind of pushing boundaries. So it might be a little easier for them to try and experiment with things that, for example, Disney might not be able to get away with because everybody's directly watching them. But the legal oversight's probably going to stick for everybody because we still don't know what's going to happen in the end. So for creators, the takeaway is going to be nuanced. AI is going to help innovate, but existing IPs are going to be heavily policed, which is obviously going to limit experimentation, even if it's just cultural pushback. So for gamers, it's a reminder that beloved characters are still bound by corporate rules, even in a rapidly evolving tech landscape. So would you guys rather see more AI-driven indie projects, no AI in indie projects, or would you stick with the polished big studio control? Do you mind when they use AI, experiment? I think it comes down to authenticity, but I'd love to hear what you guys think on that topic. And now our final piece is going to be Xbox Ally. So Xbox has released Ally X, it's giving us a glimpse into the AI future in consoles. So these are really powerful tools. So you can imagine AI assistants, real-time strategies, and gameplay augmentation like we spoke about. Now this is Xbox's dive into that segment. So it's exciting tech, but it's going to be price limiting at first for some people, similar to a lot of other AI products. For example, GPT's main tier is $200 a month. Obviously, you can get a lot for free and for smaller ones, but for their main cutting-edge stuff is about $200 a month, which is going to be out of a lot of people's price ranges. But for small businesses, $200 versus what it would have cost otherwise is a huge boon, and the accessibility has been opened. So the nuance is that new tech is often going to come with that luxury tax, but eventually prices drop, access always broadens, and more people can experiment. But in the meantime, developers and creators can start pushing the boundaries if they can afford early access. But for gamers, it's a reminder that the frontier is opening, but everyone doesn't necessarily get a ticket right away if they can't afford it, which I think is going to push back on that gaming meme culture of who's using it, who's not using it. So would you invest in this early AI tech, or would you wait for the next wave? What do you guys think? Is this one of those gimmicks, or are we actually getting somewhere right now? So tying it all together, what ties all of these stories together? AI and new tech and gaming are creating kind of a paradox. There's a lot of incredible tools for creativity, faster workflows, innovative experiences, but also new gatekeeping, potential job disruption, and some ethical questions. So from blockchain board games to the AI QA tools, from mainstream crypto gaming to console AI assistants, the trend is becoming a little bit clearer. Technology is shifting the balance of power a little bit towards creators who can adapt quickly. But quick adaptation has always been an important factor. Gamers can benefit from richer experiences potentially, but there's also that friction. There's cost, learning curves, corporate controls, and obviously the culture, how they're going to uptake it, the gamer culture and community. For creators, the takeaway is probably going to be to engage these tools early, experiment responsibly with them, stay aware of the broader tech and cultural landscape. And for gamers, it's about understanding the promise and the pitfalls. More immersive, more personalized play, but not everything may be accessible yet or culturally accepted. So it's something to reflect on. You got to think about where you are if you're a developer or a gamer, how you feel about these things. But importantly, you're probably going to want to interact with them. Understand what it is, even if it's going to be a collaborator or even if it's going to be your competitor. Best to understand the enemy if that's how you see it. So that's going to be our roundup for this week in AI X Gaming. If you liked the episode, please drop us a comment, share it, follow us. And if you are a creator in the gaming space or just a gamer that likes to know what's new and upcoming, stick with us. We'll be here every week to keep you updated. Thanks very much, guys. See you next week.